This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English. Episode number 262, baby. Oh yeah. In today's episode, I speak to Dan the Man. Yes, he is back. And we talk about facts, okay? Is this a fact or is this a myth? Okay, it will make more sense when we get to the episode. And we also talk about legs, bums and tums a lot, okay? Now, remember, bum is your arse, or if you prefer the American version, your ass. And tums is tummy, stomach, okay? Again, it will make more sense in the episode. And of course, we also speak about the Oscars. Will Smith, Chris Rock, smack, bang, wallop. And one more thing before we get to the episode. Well, two more very quick things. One, remember to buy the ebook, okay? The ebook with the amazing stories, 25 amazing stories, and a private podcast for you to listen to. And remember, all of the money that is raised goes to refugees from Ukraine. We were supposed to be stopping this week, but we have got over 1,000 euros now. We are moving in the right direction, so we are going to continue for another couple of weeks at least. So don't be the person that doesn't buy it, that doesn't get involved, okay? Go to rockandrollenglish.com/stories and buy the bloody ebook. And remember, there is the podcast. And speaking of podcasts, the audio in my new house in England, I'm still not 100% happy with. You know how much I love audio, but I have literally just bought a new device off Amazon, which is hopefully going to help me. Okay, so if you are an audio nerd like me, things will get better very soon. But anyway, here is the conversation with Dan the Man. Happy listening. Dan the Man, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Always fantastic, Dan. Always fantastic. You also have the honour of being the very first person to record a podcast with me whilst I'm using my stand-up desk. How does that make you feel?
Okay, I mean, special.
Sure. Dan the Man was just taking the piss out of me for having a stand-up desk, but he doesn't realise the benefits, okay? You don't understand. You've never been able to understand these difficult concepts, Dan.
Well, I thought people used them in 2007. I didn't realise. I guess you read a blog recently.
I actually have had this desk for a while. Notice that present perfect there. But in my old place in Sicily, it was difficult to set up in the recording studio. But 2007, I'm bringing it back, Dan. Retro, okay? Vintage. Yeah. Anyway, on to today's show. How do we usually start the show, Dan?
With a review.
Do you think we have a review?
Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't have a review. Well, I don't think we do. Anyway, because I have a feeling someone sent me one a few weeks back, and I said in the next show I will read this, but I've forgotten about it, and I don't know where it is. So,
How long have you been using that desk?
About 2 weeks, probably full time. Okay. Before it was a part-time thing. Now it's a full-time commitment with the stand-up desk.
So it's not really helping with your memory.
Are desks supposed to help with the memory?
What are they supposed to help with?
Just general feeling, I think. The feel-good factor, okay? And I feel bloody good.
Okay.
So, yeah, apologies if I have forgotten. If I have, please send me another message. Yeah, I kind of feel a bit bad that I ask people to send me reviews and then they do and then I forget.
It's almost like you're wasting their time.
No, it's like I'm just creating the suspense, Dan, because then when I read it, it's like, fuck, wow, that's big. So that's all I'm doing. So on to the real part of the show, okay? Now, because every time I talk to you, Dan, I think, God, I've got nothing to talk about with him. And so...
Well, you were begging me this week to come on the show.
I literally did beg him. I'll try and share that picture, actually, video that I shared of on my knees.
Was it a video?
How do you not know it was a video? It was a video because there was the audio as well.
Oh, of course, yeah. So it wasn't, yeah, it was, okay, I remember now, yeah.
It was a video of begging him to come on the show and he agreed. So yeah, I always do have a bit of difficulty with the topic, but I went on the National Something Day and realised, I think it was 2 days ago, was International Fact Checking Day. Okay, so I thought we could check some facts, okay, Dan, and talk about them.
I was hoping for a better episode, I'll be honest with you.
Right, okay, fantastic. So I'm sure everyone's really excited now to listen to this.
I thought we'd be talking about the Oscars.
That's on there, so let's jump straight to that, okay? So, fact, okay? Well, you have to say if this is a fact, yes or no. Will Smith was out of order for slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. So, a nice term there, out of order, like he behaved in a not very good way, let's say. What do you think, Dan? Who was out of order?
Well, this is an opinion, isn't it? But yeah, I think he was smack bang out of order.
No pun intended there, smack bang. Yeah, I agree that like violence, always no. But that was a fucking horrible thing to say. So like, fuck him.
It was a bad joke, but it doesn't mean you can go up and hit someone. You've told plenty of bad jokes, and I haven't hit you.
I must admit, when I first saw that, I thought it wasn't real. It looked like something from like WWF, didn't it? Or I think that's called WWE now. The wrestling, basically. It didn't look real, but then when he said, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth," it was almost weird to see him swear, and it was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I thought it was disgusting.
I also thought the joke was disgusting though, because even when he said it after, he said it was a G.I. Jane joke, and I thought, well,
the joke was bad. Yeah, it wasn't. It was a terrible joke, but still.
Yeah, I agree. But when he said it was a G.I. Jane joke, I thought, well, it's not. It was a joke about my wife's medical condition. G.I. Jane was the person you used,
which he laughed at.
Yeah, I think he just awkwardly laughed. But so okay, yeah. I think they were both out of order. But yeah, obviously violence, no. Okay, so next one. Too much cardio can actually prevent fat loss. Is this true or false, Dan? Is it a fact? What do you think?
I've got no idea. I would say false.
It's actually true. If you do too much cardio exercise, it prevents fat loss. I've got it written here because your body adapts to the routine and holds on to excess weight. Okay, so it's true. But speaking of cardio, just this morning, Dan, I went to a class at the gym called Legs, Bums and Tums. Okay.
Why?
So for people that don't know, Tums obviously means tummies, stomach. So legs, bums and stomach, basically. And I don't think you'll be surprised to hear that I was the only male there.
Were you getting funny looks?
Well, yes, and comments. Okay, so
really?
Even when I arrived there, because when you arrive, you have to give your name because you have to book it before, and because the instructor was a man, and he said, "Are you here for the class?" And I said, "Yeah." And he went, "Oh, sorry, it's just that usually only women come." And I thought I was going to slap him like Will Smith.
Why did you go to that?
Well, I mean, I have been ill, so I thought, I'm on the road to recovery, Dan, and so I thought I'll just go for a nice, gentle class.
But do you think for the women there who probably go there because I think it's probably a safe space from just women, and then you look a little bit creepy?
I'll give you that. I think I do as well, actually. I agree with that. I do look. I'm not saying I am, but I look creepy.
I'm not saying you look creepy, but I think any man...
I mean, that's exactly what you just said. Your actual words were, "You look a bit creepy." Okay, so don't backtrack. Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, we all admit you look a bit creepy.
Okay,
but
exactly. Let's just say it then. Let's just get it out there, Dan. Okay.
Any man going into legs, bums, and tums is going to look a bit creepy anyway.
It was a strange experience, and especially at one point when the instructor, because like in the middle of the workout, just said, "Come on, ladies," and then I kind of was questioning if I am a man or not, and then he actually said, "Oh, sorry, and gentlemen," just to bring more attention to it. It was extremely embarrassing.
So how's your legs, bum, and tum now?
You know what? I've got a newfound respect for women that have got flat bums and tums, because that was a bloody difficult workout, let me tell you.
You'll be brunching with the girls in no time.
One of my friends actually sent me a message and said, do you want to go for brunch on Saturday? And I said, I am against everything that brunch stands for. I will meet you for lunch and we will say no more about it. Okay.
Yeah, we don't live in San Francisco. Okay, we'll go for lunch or we'll go for breakfast.
Exactly. And during the class at the beginning, because he's got his microphone, he's talking, and he said, "So we're here for LBT," which obviously means legs, bums, and tums. But it was quite early in the morning. I wasn't really focused, and I thought he said,
"Did you think lesbians, bis, transsexuals?"
I thought LBGT, yeah, and I thought I'm all for, I'm totally with all of that. I've been to Gay Pride before, supporting everyone.
Okay, we get it, mate. You're a nice guy. Okay,
yeah, but I was thinking, I didn't come for that. I wasn't coming for a political discussion. I just wanted to come
for legs, bums, tums,
to get a flat bum and tum. But luckily, I just misheard. Okay, so on to the next fact. You tell me, is it fact or not? Going outside with wet hair makes you sick.
This is absolutely not true. We've had this conversation many times.
Yeah, it's not true. But like I said, when I was in Italy and I often went out with wet hair, people honestly thought I was going out with
You thought as well. I've had it with you as well, where we've gone to football and I wound down the window in the car and you started having a hissy fit saying you're going to be sick because the wind was touching the back of your neck.
That is absolute bullshit.
Oh,
nice
you're such a
vocabulary
liar.
when you wound down the window. That's what you do. And when you have a hissy fit, it's like when you go a bit crazy. But that is absolute nonsense. But I do have some facts here. Colds are caused by a virus. Okay, it's not connected to the word cold. It's not because you are cold. This is what the website on the internet says. Okay, so you don't have a problem with this. But speaking of wet hair, this is actually a problem I've been suffering with since I've come back to England. I've heard people talk about this before, but I'd never really thought about it. In England, you can't dry your hair in the bathroom. It's a bloody nightmare.
What? What do you mean?
So in Italy, for example, and I think in most other countries, in the bathroom there is a plug, so you can use the hairdryer and dry your hair. So you have a shower, your hair's wet, you get out the shower, you dry your hair. It's a bloody nightmare now. I have to go into the other room. I'd never thought about the logistics of this, but it's an absolute bloody nightmare.
I air dry, so it's not a problem.
You air dry, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't really got much hair though, have you, Dan?
That's okay. I need to get it cut.
Yeah, it's getting long, isn't it? It's getting in your eyes.
Yeah.
And speaking of my new bathroom, actually, in bathrooms, you've got the windows so people can't see you. Like the windows, I don't know how to call them. Frosted, there we go. Frosted windows, so people can't actually see you. We've got a big window in there, and the bottom half is frosted, okay, but the top half isn't. So when you're standing up in the shower, basically you can see other houses. So
it's better than the other way around, isn't it? People can't see your face, but they can see your cock.
No, so when you're standing up, they can see everything. They can see everything if you're standing. If you're sitting, they can't see anything, okay? So Mrs. R&R obviously said to me, I'm sitting down. I feel too embarrassed. I just said, I'll just let people look. If they want to look at what I've got, let them look, okay? I mean, there's not much to look at. But if they want to look, I just go free, Dan. Go free. That's why I think I'm probably so popular with the neighbours already.
Yeah. The new guy's moved in. What's he like? Well, I saw him at Legs, Bums and Tums this morning. And he had his cock out when he got home.
Exactly. As I said, that's why I think I'm just so popular with the neighbours. Okay, so checking your phone, okay? Now, I've got varied statistics here, but I'll ask you, how many times do you think people check their phone a day, Dan?
100 times.
Now, I have heard that statistic before. It says here Americans check their phone 344 times a day. I mean, that's a lot, isn't it? It said most people 58. So there's another fact for you, Dan.
Yeah.
And
Fascinating.
speaking of phones, my touch screen is currently broken. Okay, so I just thought I would tell you and anyone else that's listening, because some people that listen do have my phone number. My touch screen is broken, so my phone sometimes has just got a mind of its own and just starts clicking and sending messages to people.
This sounds a bit strange.
So I'm just too tight to actually buy a new phone. I refuse to do it.
Your phone is sending messages to people.
Well, it's not. So the other day, for example, someone sent me a message, maybe who's listening to this, saying, how could I translate this in English? And I was trying to respond, and then I sent a sticker of the thumbs up. You know, those stupid stickers that the iPhone creates, and it was just a thumbs up smile, which wasn't the plan. So if by any chance anyone gets a strange message from me, okay, it wasn't me. It was the touchscreen broken.
This sounds like something you're preparing for a trial in a court of law. Okay, I didn't send that message. It was my phone.
I'm just doing this now, just to cover my back, let's say, so I'm protected. But the big downside of this is it makes spying on people on social media impossible, because I think I could just, if I'm looking at a picture from 2012, my phone might just click a like there where I don't want to. So that is absolutely off the cards now.
Yeah, we'll just stop spying on people.
But spying on people is so much fun. Do you not do this?
Yeah, probably occasionally.
Exactly. Now, I have actually been recently reading up a little bit on, I don't even know the name actually, it shows how much I know, Stoicism, okay? And it talks about how Marcus Aurelius, said how when you do things, always ask yourself, is this essential? And then, so when sometimes I'm on Facebook and I'm going through someone's pictures from 2009, someone that I went to school with and haven't spoken to in probably 20 years, I mean, I do ask myself, is this essential?
I think if you have to ask that question, you have the answer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so another fact here. Friendliest country in the world, Dan. Do you know what the friendliest country in the world is?
Denmark?
Denmark's number 3, actually. Iceland is number 1, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, I've never been to Iceland, but I can just imagine them just playing with ice a lot and just being friendly. Is that what happens?
Well, I've never been there.
Well,
you know, Denmark and Iceland aren't the same country, you know?
So Dan the Man now lives in Denmark, which is number 3, okay? France, your previous country of residence, is number 55.
That seems quite low. I think, for France.
Quite low.
I think that's low. I think they're friendlier than that.
Oh, right. Well, number 55 is the answer, Dan.
Where's the UK?
33.
Okay.
And Italy is 32. So my two countries, let's say, very similar there.
And what's number 2?
New Zealand.
Okay.
But that, I just thought, that's typical Dan. He was in a danger zone and then thought, I'm too scared. Okay. Shit yourself, Dan. That's the problem. France was too dangerous for you. Yeah. So now you're in friendly Denmark, where everyone's just so friendly, touching each other's bums and saying hi.
Well, I don't know about that. But yeah, what can I say? Maybe I add to it. Maybe I add to the friendliness.
You add to the. You must be. In fact, now you live there. That's probably going to go to number 55.
Oh, I think I'm cool.
That's why France is so low, because you spent the last 6-7 years there.
I'm exceptionally friendly. Okay.
Sure you are. Okay, so this one. So a penny dropped from the top of the Empire State Building.
False.
Could kill someone.
False.
Okay, on what basis?
It would the wind resistance would just drop it, so it's like dropping from a normal height.
Well, apparently Lewis Bloomfield, who is a physicist from the University of Virginia, I must admit, when I saw that, I did immediately think University of Vagina, but that's not a university. University of Virginia.
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 You've never heard that place before?
I've heard of it. I just don't know how to pronounce it. I prefer to call it the University of Vagina.
Yeah.
That's much much more entertaining. So she says, at most, if you were hit, it would feel like someone flicking you in the forehead. So flicking just with your finger, let's say. My immediate thing there was, well, I would like to see her try it. Why don't you try and do that?
What, flicks someone in the forehead or have a coin?
No, the coin coming from the top of the Empire State Building.
So you don't believe it?
Well, I just want to see it happen.
Yeah, but how are you going to do that experiment?
Well, there are a lot of bullshit experiments, aren't there? I mean, you would need a very good aim to hit that person.
And as we found out from football golf the other day, you couldn't be that person.
So football golf is something Dan the Man and I played recently, and we did actually record an audio version of that. I mean, there's only about 10 minutes, which is actually audible, which will be available in the Rock and Roll English family, Dan. Okay, so if you pay me €20 a month, you'll be able to listen. Okay,
yeah, so
actually £20 now.
£20. That's inflation for you.
Exactly, but I thought maybe we could just get lots of people throwing it. I don't know. There's different options, I suppose.
Yeah,
but it's always different when you put your money where your mouth is. Okay, when you say, okay, I am going to do this. So I had an incident the other day. I was at the park, me, Mrs. R&R, baby R&R, and there was the pulley. You know the pulley. So it's something you jump on and then it pulls you along, basically. And Mrs. R&R said, no, look, it's too dangerous with the baby. I said, no, look, it's fine. Okay, everything is under control. So I got on there, jumped on with the baby, went down. Next thing, we're both on the floor.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And there were all these other kids there. And I just thought, oh my God, I am the biggest loser. Because the thing is, when I go to the park, I still have the feeling of being a child and think I want to go on the most dangerous thing and play and jump and run around. And then I just thought, I'm that sad dad that still thinks he's a child. And all the other kids were laughing at me. I was on the floor. Baby R&R was crying.
What did Mrs. R&R say?
She was saying to me, you're an absolute dickhead. What the hell is wrong with you? Which wasn't a good scenario, all in all, Dad.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah. So,
but that's what I mean. It's easy to say, no, it's fine. But once you actually do it, things are different, okay?
Well, maybe you should have just known better.
Well, I should have, but maybe it's the same as Lewis Bloomfield from the University of Vaginas. She should know better. Don't throw anything off the top of the building. Okay, just
rule 1.
Rule number 1. Okay, so I think we have debunked a lot of myths here today. So a lovely word there. When you debunk a myth, it's like when you show it's not as how people say. A very formal word, that one. Hey, Dan.
This was really bottom of the barrel stuff for ideas for this podcast, wasn't it?
I told you, Dan, when you're on, I don't really have a lot of options, okay?
Even though you begged me.
Even though I begged you. Though I begged you. I'll give you that. But thanks, as always, for your time, Dan, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, speak to you later.
Speak to you later. Okay, so that was Dan the Man and me speaking about all things facts, myths, Oscars, and everything else. So let's have a look at that R&R vocab. We had out of order. Will Smith was out of order. When you are out of order, you do something which is just not acceptable. And the man also took it one step further and said smack bang out of order, which is the collocation we use. Smack bang out of order. And I said no pun intended. Remember, a pun is a play on words, because obviously Will Smith, bang, he hit him. Smack bang out of order. It's a play on words, and this is a common thing to say when this happens. No pun intended. We spoke about legs, bums and tums quite a lot, didn't we? I said to Dan as well, I'm on the road to recovery, to feel better after my man flu. The road to recovery. I thought it was a nice piece of vocabulary as well when Dan said you look creepy, so you look a bit strange, and I said I'll give you that. Okay, I think you're right. He then tried to backtrack. Remember, when you backtrack, it's like when you say, no, I didn't say that, but he actually did. He also spoke about when he wound down the window. So in England, you wind down windows in the car. Obviously, we're talking about the non-electric ones here. You wind down the window, because that movement you make with your hand, which I'm making right now, but you can't see that, is winding down the window. The past of wind, wound. And he said I started having a hissy fit. So that's when you start going crazy like a 4-year-old girl, let's say. We spoke about frosted windows. Remember, you find them usually in bathrooms so people can't see your private parts. And then I spoke about how I mentioned the thing about my phone to cover my back, so to stop me getting in any trouble, let's say. But that is true, I do have a problem on my phone. I then spoke about how spying on people on social media is off the cards now, okay? It's not something I can do. I also mentioned how I've been reading up on stoicism. So when you read up on something, it's when you start informing yourself, let's say. We spoke about flicking someone in the forehead. So when you flick someone, in fact, I'll flick the microphone now. Did you hear that? That was me flicking the microphone. Imagine someone flicking you in the head with their finger. I then said it's different when you put your money where your mouth is. So generally that means if you say something, well, basically pay money and then do it. Or you can also use this like I did to say, yeah, you're saying that, but now do it, okay? Put your money where your mouth is. I then mentioned when I fell off the pulley, it wasn't a good scenario. All in all things considered. We spoke about debunking myths. So when you debunk something, it's like when you basically show that thing is not true. Very formal word. And right at the end, Dan the man said this was really bottom of the barrel stuff, like the real shit. Because think of a barrel of beer. It's the stuff at the bottom which is a bit shit, basically. The bit in the middle, that's the really good stuff. This was bottom of the barrel, but Dan the man doesn't know what he's talking about, does he? Anyway, thanks a lot for listening. Remember to buy the ebook, rockandrollenglish.com/stories. All of the vocab, rockandrollenglish.com/episode 263. I will see you all very soon with better audio. But in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.